Need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the latest edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I am your host, Suleiman Rafiq, and we are broadcasting live today on Inspire 105.1 FM. Today, Thursday, the 19th of November, 2020, reaching listeners in Luton and surrounding areas on 105.1 FM. As always, you can watch as well as listen, and you can do that by the Facebook page, as well as our Inspire FM website. So absolutely delighted to have you joining us today, and hopefully you'll enjoy today's show. I know when we were promoting the show, I actually had quite a lot of interest in today's topic, and today we're going to be talking about allergies and sensitivities. You know, we seem to be seeing more and more people these days, they've got allergies and different sensitivities, and we're going to be joined by an expert guest on this topic, a well-respected national expert in regards to the specific topic. And I'm delighted that I can see now Dr. Deepi has joined us. So I'll be introducing our guest very, very shortly. As I say, we are broadcasting live today on Thursday, the 19th of November. And the reason we do the show live is so that we can invite your interaction. And so why not get involved? And you can do that, as always, by commenting on our Facebook post, or alternatively, you can text or WhatsApp us on 07779 481822. That number again, 07779 481822. So I'm really excited that, you know, when we put this out, people were interested to know more about this topic and had kind of put forward some possible questions that we'll be covering throughout the next hour. Before I introduce today's show in more detail, a very dear friend of mine, whose father, Muhammad Bashir of Luton, many of us will know him. Unfortunately, he is in a serious condition in hospital at the moment with coronavirus, and I've just been requested that if all listeners could please make dua for my friend's father, as well as everyone suffering, you know, from COVID or any illness. You know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them shifa, and please remember him and everyone that needs duas in your duas. I'd be very, very grateful of that. So jazakallah khair. As I say, your interaction makes all the difference. So get involved on 07779 481822. So on to today's show, and without further ado, I would like to introduce our expert guest. So Doctor, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. So hello, everyone. My name is Deepa Choudhury, long name Deepanjali, and I'm a specialist GP with a special interest in allergy, and I'm very passionate about allergy since a long time now. I am also a member of the Standards of Care Committee in the British Society of Allergy and Immunology. And I'm involved in the guideline development in the UK for allergy.
Fantastic.
And, yes, yeah. And I work locally in Beds and Hearts area. So, yes, I'm here to help.
Excellent. Really very, very grateful for your time this evening. It's a topic that, you know, seems to be affecting more and more people at the moment. And so, as I say, very grateful for giving up your time. We just interested in terms of, you mentioned as a doctor, I mean, how did you become involved specifically, or what was your interest in regards to allergies specifically?
It's an interesting question. It dates back to many, many years ago when I was a trainee doctor, actually. And I came across a very unhappy family with a newborn baby who was, just 4 weeks old. But their main issues were they had sleepless nights. So the father had lost his job, and they were having repeated consultations for sort of colic. Sometimes it was thought to be reflux. And those were days when we didn't understand allergy very much. And even now we are, still understanding quite a lot of it. And something told me that this was not the general, colic or reflux, but I felt that it may have been cow's milk allergy at the time. So I decided to find out a bit more. And after that, I actually managed the baby with a different, a specialized milk formula at the time. And the following week, it was a completely new day for the family. The baby was sleeping, and all of the symptoms, were completely transformed as a result of that change. So I'm talking about this many, many years ago. We didn't have that much of information, and that kind of stimulated me. When I saw that it had changed the family's life, the baby was happier, and the father was able to get his new job as a result of being able to sleep at night.
Amazing.
So that was what got me interested in allergy, and I then went on to do my master's in allergy to study a bit more and learn more about it.
Fantastic. So that is really such a nice story in terms of, you were really able to help the whole family. And, many of us as parents, there's nothing worse, is there, when, you because obviously, particularly babies, they can't talk. And so,
Yes.
you kind of feel even worse when they're in discomfort. So it's really fascinating how you got into this specific speciality. Can I ask, Doctor, what, from your knowledge and understanding, what are some of the common types of allergies in England?
Yeah, in England, the common allergies. So allergy, we have different allergies. So one is airborne allergy, which is from the environment, so that's environment based, and then we have food allergy. And we tend to see that in children, it's food allergy, which is more common. The milk is one of the top ones. Nut allergy, again, is very common. And we also see a small degree of wheat and soy allergy in the food section of allergy. And with environmental allergies, which we can see in children and adults, we have pollen allergy, which is quite seasonal. It varies between seasons. I'll get to it a bit more of the depths as we go along. And drugs, usually the adults. I also forgot to mention I have worked in Addenbrooke's Hospital and Allergy Clinic, and where we see a lot of drug allergy there, and mainly adults are the ones to face more of the drug allergy. Penicillin allergy, as we all know, is one of the common ones. And there is also another type of allergy, which is insect stings, which we see a lot in the summer.
Oh, really?
Yes, bee stings and
Right.
stings and things like that. Yes.
And so, like you described there, nut allergies, as soon as you said that, I thought of people that I know, my son's friend, he, has a nut allergy. We have to be very careful about that.
Mm.
But why do allergies happen from a basic understanding?
Yes, we all want to know why we are allergic. And just to answer your question, my personal experience of and personal story of allergy, I have eaten shellfish all along prior to coming to England. And after I got married, I had a very life-threatening reaction to shellfish, prawns, and now I am actually allergic to prawns. So, going back to your question on why do we have allergies, it's a combination of a few things. One is environmental factors play a role. When I say environmental factors, I will explain how that plays a role. But the second thing is also your familial predisposition. By familial predisposition, I mean genetic factors. So if I have a child whose father and mother, both of them, have asthma or hay fever or eczema, then there is a chance that their next child, there is a chance of 80% chance that child will have some form of allergy. So that's the hereditary side to it, why it can be. And secondly, there are a group of people who can get allergy, out of nowhere, and the reasoning behind that is a bit complex. But what we have learned all along is that being too clean, being too sophisticated, is one of the reasons, which we allergists call that as hygiene hypothesis.
Okay.
So what it means is when our immune system is lazy or is not being kept busy, then it has to find out ways of, trying to keep busy. For example,
Mhm.
in the lockdown, we all of us, we got very interested in different things. We started baking, we were doing gardening, things we've not done before. Similarly, our immune system, when it's trying to deal with infection, it's being kept busy. But if things are too clean and then the immune system is left to think, what else can I do? That what else is actually allergy, where the immune system is awkwardly reacting to things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I really like the way you've explained that in a way that even I've understood it. So I think you've explained it in a way that does make sense. So and it's often but it was surprising for me to hear that in a way, because what you're saying is that you can kind of guard, you can overprotect yourself, and that then that has the consequences of the allergies, as I understood it. But I was very surprised to hear there, doctor, just in relation to specifically around the hereditary element of allergies. I didn't at all appreciate it. And did you say 80%? Was that right? Did I understand that correctly, please?
Let me try and clearly explain that.
Please.
So, depending on some of the studies that have looked at what could be causing allergies. So, what they did was they took a group of children who were asthmatic, a group of children who had hay fever, and they tried to trace back what was common to all these children. And they found that those children where two members in the family, two immediate members, parents, have got some form of allergy, say asthma or a nut allergy or eczema. All these conditions are allergic conditions. So when both the parents had it, the risk of them having some form of allergy was almost 60 to 80%. When I say allergy, it's a spectrum of disease. So in my general day-to-day consultation, when I have a patient presenting with some symptoms, it is a routine for me to ask them who in the family has got some form of allergy. Does your father or does your uncle have eczema? Does he have hay fever? Then that triggers certain pathways in my brain to understand what family am I dealing with. And allergy, there is a term which we all should know, actually, not just doctors, and it's called allergic march. So there is you can almost think about it as a jigsaw puzzle. So the baby would start off with eczema, dry skin in the first 6 months of life. The first 6 months of life is very, very important. During that time, there may be a history of that. Then there could be, as they grow older by about 4 or 5 years, they're outside, they're running, they're playing in the grass, they go into the forest, they're mobile, they're being exposed to the allergens outside. So they then develop hay fever. And then after the hay fever stage, they grow up a little more and then develop asthma. And this is a group of individuals who fall in that category. They've got family history as well. Such a child will have a father or a mother with either of these conditions. So it then for a doctor to work it out, or for yourselves to work it out for your family to see, oh, could this be that my son is developing asthma? He is, getting too many chest infections and he's being wheezy at night, that sort of thing. So it's like solving a jigsaw puzzle. Allergy always will give you the clues.
Hmm.
Mostly, I'm not being correct on that because it can also be very tricky sometimes.
Yeah. And so there are some kind of, as you're mentioning, there's some clues there around the jigsaw puzzle. But from your perspective, if someone comes to you as a clinician and they say, this is what we've noticed, wheezing at night, for example, I mean, and then you then ask more questions around, well, family history, and then that adds more to the story. And then what more can be done to just be assured of exactly what needs to happen next, or is that it?
So when you're asking me about what more can be done, it's obviously the next steps. The way to deal with it for all of us is to first assess that at the family level. What is happening to our child? The sleep needs to be looked at as well. A child whose nose is blocked or a child who is struggling to breathe at night would not sleep very well at night and in the daytime will underperform at school. So that's not something that even comes to the doctors. That's something that you deal with within the family, you see. You have a child who hasn't slept at night. Possibly the reason is dust mite allergy. I'm just talking about this in the allergy perspective. There could be other reasons. But, you have to think about those things. Then wheezing. So it's a very good idea to, see what is happening to the child, to ask your kid how are they doing in PE in school. Are they keeping pace with their friend? Can they run as fast as their fastest friend? Or are they struggling a bit to keep pace? So we at the Royal College of Physicians, when we assess for asthma in any patient who has already developed asthma, we check for daytime symptoms. How are they during day? What are activity levels affected by? And nighttime. So these are the three things we have to keep in mind. And within the family, when you sit down in the, over the weekend, it is worth trying to, um, assess a few things. Especially in the winter, we are in the winter, and also because of the pandemic, we are spending a lot of time indoors. So, as an allergist, I would be very keen on us as families looking around and being aware of what are the triggers that might be affecting our health. The air quality has to be assessed as well, as in there are things we can do to help the air quality in the house, which I'll get to if you need me to.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. One of so I'm really grateful. I've had a few questions in from our listeners, and one of those which ties into what you were just saying, and I'll come to the others. I do promise. Is that um, why is it that allergy symptoms appear to be worse at night? Can you just elaborate on that, please?
All right, yes. Firstly, just thinking about the nighttime, it's usually the end of the day. We have finished all of our work, we've finished all the stuff that keeps our mind busy. So that's the time where we are internally and externally more aware of our bodies. That's one of the realistic things, that you're more aware of your body. So the symptoms are definitely more remembered well. And, that's one of the things. Secondly, in the lying down position, you're sleeping. So if you think about it, all your secretions, whatever you've got, snot in the nose or whatever, it is falling backwards, you know. So that itself can cause problems
Right.
in people who have got problems already. If they have got their breathing tube, I'm talking about the nasal tube, if it's already narrow, um, then it is making it further narrow, and it's causing more difficulties in breathing. And wheeze is a sound that comes from narrowed tubes,
Right.
so that's why you get that sound.
Mm.
So
Okay.
that's what's happening. The question is, what is the trigger? What has triggered that?
And we're going to come on, you said there, we're going to come on to talk about in terms of ventilation and air in the
Yeah,
room and
yeah, yeah.
stuff. We're
I
going to
will
come on to
share
talk about that after the break, definitely. The
Yeah.
other question, and I have heard this one before, I'm very grateful for the person reminding me of this, is one thing I often hear is, why is it that in England you get so many allergies and back home, everyone doesn't seem to have nut allergies or hay fever, etc. I'd love to hear your views on that.
Yeah, and that's the golden question. The first time when I joined allergy, I thought to myself, why is it like this? And it is like this. At least 20% of the European population, they looked at the global statistics, and they felt in the Western world, at least 20% of the population is affected by some form of allergy. So the question is, you're asking me why. And before I explain why, I would like to say that this has actually been found in research studies where they found, where they looked at immigrants who have been studied after immigrating to a Western country. They found that the incidence of allergy was higher in that immigrant population. So I hope I'm making myself clear. So if it was an Indian or a Bangladeshi or a Pakistani child who has moved from India to Britain, and they then studied them, so it's clearly telling us that there are some environmental factors here. So there is a combination of two things. The environmental factors can then create some changes in our genes to make us more predisposed. That is one possible explanation. I cannot generalize that explanation to everyone. That's number one. Number two, again, I go back to what I initially started off. That hypothesis as well has got its controversies, it's being questioned, but it is one of the fundamental hypothesis by the scientists who discovered that was in 1989. It was the hygiene hypothesis,
Okay.
guy who said that being too clean then doesn't allow the immune system to keep busy, and that and how he found out was he carried out the study between two farming communities. So he found that the farming community that lived extremely basic life, with animals around, no machines, and then they studied the incidence of asthma in that group of children as they grew older, and they found that the incidence of asthma was a lot lower in that group.
Okay. Mm.
So currently, as a world, globally, we are suffering the effects of pollution. And it has been studied that pollution and allergy levels, they are again directly proportional to each other. So what pollution does is that it makes the allergen, for example, it's a pollen,
Yeah.
more sort of
Fantastic.
harmful or more potent, I would say.
It's really fascinating topic. Listeners, we've got only a few, about a minute left, or just around a minute left until we go to our advert break. I'm delighted to say the doctors kindly agreed to stay with us for the whole hour. We're going to be talking about, after the break, we're going to be talking more about winter allergies specifically. And as always, we would love any questions that you've got, and you can either comment on our Facebook page, or alternatively, you can text or WhatsApp us on 07779 481822. That number again, 07779 481822. We're live today on Thursday, the 19th of November 2020. And hopefully you can stay with us throughout the rest of today's show. As always, if you've got any comments or suggestions for future shows, we'd love to hear those as well. I was delighted to get the feedback when we announced this topic, that so many people were interested, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to bring you information for our listeners that you find interesting and informing. So as I say, we'll be going to the advert break very shortly. Just to recap, today's topic is all about allergies and sensitivities. We've been discussing some of the main allergies that are out there that a lot of us are hearing about, and also having a really interesting discussion on why is it so different between different countries, as an example, and what are some of the signs and symptoms people can practically take home as families to really understand what's going on, to try and put those pieces of the puzzle together. So as I say, please do stay with us. We're live for up until 7 o'clock. And we will be continuing our conversation around allergies and sensitivities. If you've got any questions, the telephone number is 0779481822, and please do stay with us for after the break.
.1 FM.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sarish Iqbal. I'm a local Lutonian. Keep listening to Inspire FM.
This is an important update about coronavirus. To help save lives, new national restrictions are now in place until the 2nd of December. You must stay at home. Only leave home for food, medical reasons, exercise, education, or work. You must work from home if you can and avoid travel unless essential. Go to gov.uk/coronavirus for latest guidance and exemptions. Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
Whatever your event, your perfect venue is Grand Park Hall on Park Street in Luton. Catering for up to 700 people, surrounded by 300 car park spaces, Grand Park Hall has everything to make your conference, corporate event, akika, birthday party, mendi, engagement, wedding, or other celebration a first-class success. Grand Park Hall's catering team offer HMC certified food, and the events team can take care of everything: car hire, wedding planning, entertainment, and organising segregated weddings too. For details, click on grandparkhall.co.uk or call Boktir Hussain on Luton 484109.
Oakwood Primary School, Tennyson Road, Luton, is a DFE-registered independent Islamic faith-based school for 3 to 11-year-olds, with approximately 140 children, both nursery and primary. We're now recruiting children across the whole primary and nursery classes. If you wish to send your children to a progressive Islamic school with a strong focus on raising attainment and promoting excellence and enjoyment, contact the school on Luton 518800 and ask for an application form, or email admin@oakwoodprimary.co.uk.
Attention for landlords. क्या आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी जल्द से जल्द किराए पर लग जाए और आपकी प्रॉपर्टी की 100% देखभाल के साथ साथ किराया भी पर वक्त मिले? तो मैरीगोल्ड रेजिडेंशियल से राब्ता कीजिए। मैरीगोल्ड रेजिडेंशियल अब प्रॉपर्टी की खरीदो फरोख्त का काम भी करते हैं। अगर आप अपनी प्रॉपर्टी रेंट पर खरीदना या बेचना चाहते हैं तो आज ही फोन कीजिए 01582 617 617 251 Dunstable Road, Luton. Terms and conditions apply.
AK Windows South Limited, manufacturers and installers of high-quality UPVC windows and doors, bifold doors, composite doors, conservatories, porches, skypods, fascias, guttering, and much, much more. We specialize in double glazing and triple glazing using the best German profile. If you want quality at affordable prices, AK Windows is the place to go. If your house needs a facelift, you know who to trust. For a free quote, call AK Windows today on 01582 483 777 or visit us at Unit 10E, Britannia Estate, Leagrave Road, Luton.
TheStudyCentre.co.uk is Luton's newest tuition centre and flexi school, providing hundreds of structured courses from Key Stage 1 to GCSEs. Subjects include English, Maths, Science, Islamic Arts, Quran, Arabic, Islamic Studies, plus many more. Classes are taught in person or online, daytime or evenings, weekdays and weekends from as little as £6 an hour. Register now at thestudycentre.co.uk and let's get learning.
Fear Allah wherever you are. Do good immediately after a sinful act to erase it, and always be well-mannered in your relationship with people. Reported by Tirmidhi.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6:30. Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical, or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the latest edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I am your host, Suleiman Rafiq, and we are broadcasting live today on Thursday, the 19th of November, 2020. As always, we are reaching listeners in Luton and surrounding areas on 105.1 FM. And you can join us also via the Inspire FM website, and you can watch as well as listen on the Facebook page. Please don't hesitate to send in any questions you might have on today's topic, which is all about allergies and sensitivities. And we're joined by a specialist doctor in this area to discuss that and answer your questions. Best way to get in touch is by text or WhatsApp on 07779 481822. That number again, 07779 481822. So as I said, we're discussing allergies and sensitivities, and I'll ask the doctors to kindly introduce herself. Oh, so you're on mute. Ah, you're off mute. Go for it.
Thank you for having me here today. My name is Dr. Deepanjali Choudhury. I'm a specialist GP with interest in allergy and a member of the Standards of Care Committee for the British Society of Allergy and Immunology. And I've also worked as a allergy specialist in Addenbrooke's Hospital in the allergy clinic just prior to the pandemic, and continue my passion in allergy. And happy to be here this evening.
That's great. No, thank you very much for giving up your time to be on Inspire FM. It's greatly appreciated. We've had a question during the break, so if I could come to that first, and then we'll recap for those who've joined us a little bit later. We'll recap what we were discussing in the first half of the show. But I'd like to just ask this question, and because we've been talking a lot about children, but this is in regards to adults. And so he's asking here, can you develop an allergy? So he's saying he's 33 years old and moved to the UK a few years ago. He never experienced any allergies when he was back home, but since the last couple of years, he's constantly been sneezing as soon as he wakes up and has a runny nose in the winter. So can you give some thoughts on that?
Yes. So yes, you can develop an allergy as a new thing as well. And as I was going back to my initial explanation of the triangle, the triangle is, and not everyone has this triangle as the cause. So there can be some genetic factors, may or may not be possible. Some people may be having some member in the family, some may not. The next thing is environmental factors. Now, the symptoms he's having are sneezing every morning, and you mentioned that now in the winter he has
runny nose.
A runny nose, yeah. So they kind of fit in, and if he's had these symptoms since coming to England, there are two possibilities here. One is dust mite allergy, and second is pollen allergy. But pollen allergy tends to be more during the summertime. Some people can have a combination of these things. And especially if he is someone who feels that he's having a constant cold all through the year, and he carries a box of tissues with him all the time because he's sneezing. And currently, because of the pandemic, it is so we're all very aware of our sneeze, a single cough, a single sneeze. We're so conscious about it.
Yep.
So I can empathize with his feelings of that. And there are lots of things we can do, which I will come towards the end of the show, because we are here together to make a difference and to change our lives. And I believe that there is a lot of things that can be done by us in our own homes, in our own lives, even before we see the doctor.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'd love to spend some good time discussing those, because I think what listeners, from what I'm seeing, is those practical things that we can take away from today's show to make a difference, because it's just, so common now, throughout so many families to be experiencing this. So we'll come on to that very shortly. Just for any listeners that may be joining us a little bit late, we're discussing allergies and sensitivities, and we were talking in the first half of the show around some of the common types of allergies. Gave, for example, nut allergies, hay fever as examples, and also we spoke a lot about how we can try and piece together the puzzles to understand, the different elements of what's going on, and how we can understand that. So for anyone that has missed the start of today's show and is interested in hearing more about what we were talking about, you can listen back via the Aspire FM website. Alternatively, you can view us back on the Facebook video that will be made available straight after this show. We are live today on Thursday, the 19th of November, 2020, and really appreciate your interaction so far. The number again, 07779 481822. So, Doctor, just before we get into some of those practical steps, obviously you mentioned we're in winter. And so what can you specifically tell us around winter allergies, and, what happens, how long are they around for, etc.?
Yeah. So with winter allergies, obviously, as I mentioned previously, that we are spending a lot of time indoors. And of course, some of us are going out to work, and there may be some external factors, but the main allergens during the winter season are inside the house, mainly. So we're talking about mold, we're talking about the dust mite, and there can be outside allergens that can be brought inside the house. So October, November, December time, we don't have the tree pollens, but there are certain trees pollens that can come during, February, March time, which can affect our breathing tubes. But currently, right now, we are in November, December time. You will be faced with an aggravation of symptoms with the dust mite and mold. Now, dust mite and mold are not always evident. It's not easy to sort of make out that it's there in the house or it's causing problems, because some of us get on with it all right. We might not sneeze, or we might just have the odd sneeze and that's it. And some of us might actually wake up in the morning very blocked up, or having a lot of sneezing episodes. And and then there is the other extreme as well, where there is someone who's so blocked up at night, who hasn't had good sleep and is grumpy and is not behaving very well at work, or so that those are the indirect effects of allergy which have to be kept in mind as well.
Sure. What when you say dust mites, what is dust mites?
Yeah, so dust mite is a type of, I want to use the word allergen, though it's a medical word, but so it is seen, it's almost not, it's not a bug, but the dust mite protein triggers an allergic response in the body. And it's seen, and it's something that the dust mite loves, the house dust mite it's called, and it loves moisture. And it loves, a warm. So, and it loves beddings as well. So your blankets and beddings and pillows can get, dust mites on them, and they need to be cleaned very correctly, and regularly. Now, a lot of patients who we saw in Cambridge in the allergy clinic, there is a slight, how do I say, there is that feeling that, oh, I'm actually very clean, my house is clean. Don't tell that I'm allergic to dust, because I actually make sure that I clean very well. So there is that thing. But actually, there is some understanding that needs to go beyond that, because this is not visible to the human eye. And cleaning is not as simple as just hoovering or using the vacuum cleaner and you're done with the cleaning, because for dust mite, you need a damp cloth. So when you're wiping the blinds in the house, it needs to be a damp cloth to get rid of all the dust mite that there is. When the clothes are being washed in the washing machine, they need to be washed at 60 degrees. If the washing machine has a setting, you set it to 60 degrees because that kills the dust mite. And also, I have with me here, but I'm not trying to, promote sales of anything, but this is something that may help some families. And if you wish, you want to consider that. So this is a HEPA filter that can go on to a vacuum cleaner that is known to help as well. And one thing with any vacuum cleaner that you might have is very important to leave that vacuum cleaner in clean condition. So once it's collected the dust from the carpets and whatever, you have to empty that. You have to empty the cylinder on a regular basis because that allows for dust mite and mold to, continue growing over time. If you just leave it as it is, that's not very good.
Okay, so there's some really practical steps there that you've described that all of us can take in terms of the cleaning and this. So particularly the bedding, is that particularly an issue, do you say?
Yes, it's a big issue because it is where the dust mite loves to live. And a few years ago, when I was in Cambridge, I was given the opportunity to go to a setup where I could see through a microscope where and how it looks like, which was an exciting experience. And so that kind of opens your eye. So today after this show, I'm sure that, over the weekend, if you have time, make sure, you have a routine in the family that, at one day, all the bed sheets and the duvets, they'll be washed, and I understand we are all busy families, but if you have a family member who's having these symptoms of sneezing every morning, and, so it's something to bear in mind that dust mite could be a cause. One of the other things that we might have in our bedrooms, the bedroom may have an ensuite bathroom. So with the bathroom door left open, it brings in a lot of moisture into the bedroom and the bedding. So that again, so what you want is you want to create a dry state in the room. You don't want moisture in the room. You want to make sure that your radiators are working correctly, because if your radiators are cold or there is a fault with them, then you're promoting the growth of mold, which you will not see. You may be breeding those spores. I'm not trying to frighten everyone, but I'm just trying to say that this is the time where we need to analyze our home situation,
Yeah, especially because we're spending so much time at home.
Yeah, you have a bathroom and the door might, may be open during the day and things like that. So ventilation is very, very important in the house. It's a tricky one in the summer for people who are allergic to, say grass pollen, which is another trigger for allergies, because you don't want pollen to come inside the house. So in those situations, you close the window. But
yeah, but I think particularly in the winter, and they're saying, aren't they, in regards to COVID as well, particularly ventilation is particularly important, that we try and let more air in, you know. And I know, as you can see, I've got a jumper on. I'm always feeling cold all the time, but actually it is good for you if you do let some fresh air come in, especially because we're not allowed out at the moment. So that's been really helpful to understand that. Can I ask just a specific thing is in regards to dehumidifiers? Can you just briefly discuss that? Why a lot of people seem to be using those?
I used to have one nearby. I should have gone to my office room today to show you what I have. Yes. I feel that it is also one of the tools that will help us in England with our kind of lifestyle and living. If you think about other countries where warmer climates, we have windows open. It's the the rooms are larger proportion in size, and it's more sort of an open setting, if you get what I mean. And here we're kind of very closed, and so dehumidifiers, they help in reducing the moisture level in the room, and that really helps. It goes a certain way. I mean, it really helps in preventing, all these things like the mold and the dust mite. Yes, it is an expense, but I definitely feel that it is one of the tools that can help in certain individuals, who are suffering symptoms. And there is one thing about dehumidifiers. So it's a machine. It will stay. Some of them are noisier, and some of them make less noise. The company, I can share the company details, but if you wish. But there are different brands in the market. But irrespective of the brand, what is very, very important with the dehumidifier is, what is it doing? It is trying to grab all the moisture from the room and make sure that your room is dry, at the right level of dryness. So it will collect the moisture in a container, and that container, you will have to empty it regularly. You cannot leave it sitting in the room. You'll have to keep emptying it at regular intervals as well, because what has been found is that there can be mold formation in that old water that sits in that reservoir that collects the moisture. So just you have to be meticulous with that. If you're meticulous, then it's good. I empty the container in my house every day, and I try to position it. I mean, it is meant to work for the whole house. It comes in different capacities depending on the size of your house.
All right. Yeah, no, that's really helpful, because you see them more and more often now, don't you? And like you said there, the importance is about cleaning it out regularly. Not just letting it sit there, but maintaining it, etc. So that's been interesting. I'm just conscious of time. We're time getting away with us, and we've got quite a few questions remaining. One of the ones you mentioned there at the beginning about families kind of understanding themselves, what's going on and their symptoms, etc. But from your perspective, when is the right time to contact a GP if you've got concerns?
All right. That's a good question. And obviously, I can share a few things, but every individual is different, and symptoms are different. So for food allergy, it's different. For asthma, it's different. For drug allergy, it's different. I'll try to maybe touch upon it. So first things first, anything that's life-threatening, whereby you've had an immediate reaction after eating a food, clearly that would land up in accident and emergency. You will have a discharge letter that will say you've had a collapse or an allergic reaction. And by default, you will go and see your GP in that sort of situation. Where we all get lost is when something less severe happens.
Yeah.
So talking of pediatrics, in with milk allergy, I can go on for hours, actually. That's the thing. So, do you have any particular one that you want to ask me about? Because
I think it was just yeah. So I think it was more in regards to just where, because I think you've really empowered our listeners in terms of saying, you need to understand what's going on. And so it's good just to understand. I mean, is there like an NHS website where people can find out more information? What's the kind of trust? There's a lot of misinformation, unfortunately, do this, do that, etc. What's the best source of information from your perspective?
Yes, I will. Yeah. So I follow two patient charities which are very, very good. They have worked very, very hard in trying to collate all the information, and it is worth following them. They prior to the pandemic, they also had a phone service where you could ring them, especially with feeding questions. So it's Allergy UK. Allergy UK. You can Google, and it will take you to its website. And they currently, with food allergies, they have shows and webinars which are teaching people recipes, how to make for how to cook for say, for example, nut allergic children. So that's a very good one. And anaphylaxis campaign is also a very good one. It deals more with more severe allergy, but they have got a lot of resources there. So they have shared quite a lot of information, which should give patients a lot of information. Asthma
Right.
UK is very good. Asthma UK, if you're struggling with your inhalers that you don't know, you've been given an inhaler by your doctor and you don't quite know how to use it, it has got some demo videos. So you click and it's got picture of the inhaler that you might have been given. So you click and you can learn how to use it. And I mean, I am not a very social media person, but I do have an Instagram account where I would post some information which I have not been very active during the pandemic, but it is called allergy_ease. On Instagram, I don't have my photograph on it, but there is a photograph of a pollen on the main screen. And I am available on Twitter as Deepa Choudhury, and I will tweet normally when I have read some research article that I find interesting.
Great, fantastic. Yeah, that's really helpful. And I think it'd be great, given the amount of interaction we've had. I think it'd be great to have you back on in a future show to discuss this again with us. I think it seems to be really creating a lot of interest for us. Can I ask, just conscious we only have a few minutes left, but can I just ask in regards to, obviously you've got a lot of experience with this, can allergies sometimes create other problems with, potentially some serious kind of other issues, perhaps mental health problems? And, do you see that in the clinics and stuff that you're coming across?
Yes, and it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing, what came first? From my experience in Cambridge, I have also seen a large number of cases where stress is another precursor for bringing about changes in the immune system. There is something called as, again, I'm using medical terminology here, but you can all go back and Google and read up about it. But I have seen this in real life and I still see. So it is called as idiopathic anaphylaxis. Idiopathic meaning no cause found. And anaphylaxis is the severe, life-threatening reaction. So in allergy clinics, we come across a lot of patients where we do all these allergy testing. We test them for dust mite and foods and different things, but all the tests come back as negative. And then we are sort of wondering, what else is causing it or what is the cause of it. So, and in some occasions where we have assessed, we've seen that stress is one of the, I'm not suggesting that it is a main cause, but it can cause changes in the immune system. Now, your question was, can it lead to depression? Yes, it's a very important question here because there is a lot of taboo against allergic patients, especially in the teenage years. If you have, say, a nut allergy and you're not able to go out with your friends and, have fun in the curry house, it certainly, it is something that affects you in an indirect way. You might not be able to express it.
Yeah.
There are other medical problems which are visible, but allergy is something where people suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Just
And I
one
think
of
you've been,
the things that people think, oh, we're just taking antihistamines and that's it.
Absolutely. No, it's been really helpful, and you've signposted us to relevant websites like Allergy UK and your own page, etc. as well, for people that do need more information. Unfortunately, we've kind of run out of time. We do always like to end the show on a positive quote. We like to end the show on a positive note. So could you share with us a positive quote?
Yeah, my positive quote is to live the life and to be very, very aware of what is around us in the house, to be on high alert, and we'll all be okay. If we sort out the home environment, there is a lot of things that we can, change. And most importantly, with what we have been faced with currently with the corona pandemic, I think the most important medicine is positivity. that itself will change our immune system. There is one medical thing which I forgot to mention, which is vitamin D. Optimizing vitamin D levels definitely helps the immune system. So if we have kids, then it is definitely worth making sure that they are on vitamin D supplements.
Fantastic.
And soft toys are a no-no, really, in terms of dust mite allergy.
Fantastic. Doctor, as I say, it's been really fascinating listening to you. It's an area I've learned a lot about over the past hour. It's been absolutely delightful to have you on. Very, very grateful for your time this evening. Listeners, thank you very much, as always, for being with us. And as always, you can listen back via the Inspire FM website or the Facebook page, and the show will be repeated on Sunday. But as the doctor rightly said, let's stay positive, let's stay together, and inshallah we'll get through this. Next week we'll be back again with a new episode of the Health and Fitness Show. Please do suggest any topics you'd like us to touch upon. But without further ado, my name's been Sulaiman Rafiq, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Take good care.
FM on 105.1 FM.
Thank you.
Up next, weekly live learning.